This is James Lupton. Delighted to be joined today with Regan Glackin. Regan, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm not bad, my man. Thanks for having me on.
No worries. Well, thanks for coming on. You've been at the Celtic game today. Good result for you, look.
It was a good result today, mate. It was a cold one, you know what I mean? So just as well we got that good result. So just in a door, mate.
Absolutely. Obviously, I mentioned Celtic there because it's close to your heart. You covered in Celtic tattoos, but you played for them as a boy as well. Let's just start.
That's a bit tattoos around. And you go.
Let's start there. You started boxing for your fitness ready for football about 13, 14 years old, I believe. Just talk to me about juggling Celtic Academy and the boxing gym.
Yeah, well, as I said, I only get into boxing just for the fitness side of things. You know what I mean? I actually had my first fight when I was 11, but I never really seriously took it like as my kind of passion until I was about 13, 14. So as a young boy, mate, playing with Celtic and stuff, just on whatever nights off I had for the gym, which was only 1 or 2 days really. I just used to go down to my dad's friend's gym. So I had, as I said, I had my first fight when I was 11 and then kind of 13, 14 after Celtic released me, sadly, they let me go. At 13, it was just kind of the perfect time for then, rather than jugging it all the years to just go full ahead with my boxing, you know what I mean? So it was hard, but as I say, I enjoyed the training, mate. At the start, I never looked at it as a chore or something to get into. I just done it because I liked it, do you know what I mean? So I never found that, although I never had much rest, I never found that like days not wanting to go, do you know what I mean? I enjoyed the training, so but balancing it and juggling it really wasn't an issue until it came time to kind of favour the boxing side. And then it was just kind of obviously one or another. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, I picked boxing. So,
Did the boxing make it easier getting released by Celtic and the football side of things?
see, to be quite honest with you, as I said, see when I had my first fight at kind of 11, just before my 12th birthday, I was like playing on a Saturday and then I was rushing away for football to go fight and then off fighting on the Sunday or stuff like that. So I think kind of from I had that first taste of the fights, mate, I was kind of leaning towards boxing anyway. So I think obviously Celtic, as we just said, obviously my boyhood club, mate. One of my dreams always was to play at Parkhead and stuff. Obviously, do you know what I mean? It was never boxing, but I think at that switch, getting released for Celtic was kind of the wee kind of extra motivation I needed to obviously fully concentrate in boxing. Like there was nobody ever in my family. My dad played football at a good level, so did my brother and stuff like that. So there was never anybody at boxing to go, that's what I want to go do. Do you know what I mean? So I think after the kind of thing at Celtic came to an end, it was just the perfect time to kind of kick on and kind of focus on the boxing. Do you know what I mean? So
Absolutely. Just tell us a little bit about your amateur career and what that was like for yourself. How did you find the unpaid ranks?
do you know, I didn't have a massive amateur career. As I said, I had my first fight quite early, but because for a few years after that, I was still kind of juggling the football and boxing. I think I ended up towards the end having, I think it was about 32 or 33 amateur fights, all at a good level, all at kind of the up here. You've got obviously probably similar to England, you've got different variations of your national championships, but like if you get like kind of novice ones, like between a certain amount of fights, but I was always in the full kind of Scottish. Um, I was always fighting more experienced boys, so to speak. So I think out of the 32 or 33 amateur fights, I think I won about 28, 29 of them. I only had 3 or 4 losses as an amateur. So my but I'd always more suited when I moved to my trainer, Joe Ham Senior. I was at another amateur club for my first 3 fights, and then when I finally focused on boxing, as we said, I moved to a better gym. So when I moved to that gym, they had a few professionals there as well. But I think I've always been a bit more suited to the pro game. So although I never had that massive amateur pedigree, I think the kind of best thing for me was as I've turned professional, I've kind of adapted more quicker, so to speak. Like I've just the kind of style that the amateur, as you know, mate, is dead fast paced, like in and out, with your feet work and stuff. I prefer more to sit down on my punches and kind of stay in distance. So I think the kind of transitions became a lot easier than a lot because a lot of good amateurs don't necessarily make good professionals. You know what I mean, the style wise. So I think not having a massive amateur background didn't really hinder me, mate, because I had a lot of the 30 amateur fights I had quite back to back, a lot of succession, do you know what I mean? So it's not so far hindered me anyway, so I think that transition's been quite smooth.
What's your thoughts on staying amateur too long? We see a lot of people who stay on amateur squads for a long time. They go for the Olympic cycles, etc. Let's say, for example, Fraser Clark. He's recently turned professional after a very long amateur career. He's now in his early 30s, and people want to see him moved very, very quickly. Now he's not at in the early 30s. He's not got an awful long time as a pro in terms of career wise. You may have say 5 years, let's say, and that takes him into his mid to late 30s. And who knows at what level he'll be at the end of his career. Do you feel it can hinder you sometimes to stay amateur too long?
I think there's like you could sit both sides of the table. Like it's one of them ones. People like Fraser Clark and stuff like that, Anthony Fowler, Thomas Stalker, stuff like that. They stayed amateur long, but at the same time, these boys are on Team GB, so they're getting funded to train full time. It's a job almost for them as much as they're enjoying it. Do you know what I mean? Like when you're on amateur circuit, you're fighting, you're traveling the country. These people are traveling the world. It's a great lifestyle, but there is a fine line I think between doing it too long. Like, I mean, Lomachenko's obviously one of a kind, but he had, what's it, 397 amateur fights. Like, that's crazy. Like, part of me thinks like it's good, obviously, being a big amateur star, but if you've got real aspirations in terms of doing it in professionals, then I think you kind of need to watch that age range. Do you know what I mean? As you're saying, Fraser can afford to move a wee bit quicker, but at the end of the day, mate, he's in his 30s now. Like, he's probably a young 30-year-old because of all the training and stuff he's been doing, but at the same time, father time waits for no man. Do you know what I mean? It's as the longer you stay there, you're limiting your professional care. Whether you like it or you lump it, mate. This is what happens. Obviously, unfortunately, everybody can't fight like Bernard Hopkins to a 50-year-old. You know what I mean? So personally, I feel it's a fine line, mate. Everybody peaks at different ages, but I think having that longer amateur career, as we touched on earlier, just if you're a great amateur doesn't mean you're going to do it in the professional ranks. So I think if you want to do it in the professionals, you need to give yourself as much time as possible. I think some of these fighters will maybe hang on a wee bit too long. I understand why, being on GB, and for like speaking, my teammate Joe, he was on Team GB for years and stuff, and it's a good setup and stuff, but it's obviously time consuming. Do you know what I mean? So I think you need to kind of watch that one. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely. Back to yourself. We're now January 2023. It's been almost a year to the day since you went full time as an athlete, or you quit your job. Talk to me about the last 12 months and how it's been for you as a full time professional.
Mate, I was actually speaking to my mum the other day about this. I'm so much happier, man. I'm honestly, mate, like, see, don't get wrong, now I don't work full time. I've got my own kind of wee gym unit as well where we train twice a day, 6 days a week. So it was all just, the reasoning behind that was I don't want to have any regrets for the boxing, do you know what I mean? Like, I want to be able to sit back when it's finished and go, I gave it everything. I couldn't have done any more. So I used to work full time. I used to train twice a day, and I used to, as I said, I've got my own gym wee area where I do PTs, boxing based PTs and stuff. So effectively, although I don't, until now, because I've always obviously enjoyed the boxing, I never seen it as a job. Like, I know that sounds a bit daft, like I'm a professional boxer, but at the end of the day, like, I enjoyed it. So I don't see training as a chore, or like, some days you wake up to go to work, you're like, oh, I can't be bothered. For me, it's never like that with boxing. Like, I used to get up and train at 4 in the morning before work, and I would jump out of bed, mate. Do you know what I mean? So we just got to the point a year ago. I was coming up for 23 years old, and I was like, I need to go full time. Do you know what I mean? I've got my PT, my gym on the side, that I can still earn a living, still train my twice a day. I need to go fully at it. So a year down the line, mate, honestly, mate, I'm just night and day. I'm getting more rest. I'm training more. I'm training more efficient. It's just easier for my cooking meals, just everything, mate. Just all round, I'm living better. Do you know what I mean? As I say, I'm still busy, mate. There's still not enough hours in the day. I'm up early for no training. I'm with clients. I'm then training again, getting a wee sleep. Then I'm back in at night with clients. So it's just, but the wee hours and days in between where I get a bit of rest, I just focus purely on recovery stuff. Do you know what I mean? So, like, say, your cryotherapy chambers, your senior physios, your, do you know what I mean? Stuff like that. So I'm a whole lot happier and better as a person out with boxing as well. Do you know what I mean? I think through the lockdowns and stuff, and I was just kind of keeping my head down, training away, working, still saving, obviously preparing to go full time. It was just, mate, I was just doing too much to the body. And I remember my mum and my gran used to say, like, you need to relax, you're doing too much. And like me not even noticing, mate, I became a bit crabbit and stuff just because how busy I was being, do you know what I mean? I was up, I used to work through lockdown, our shifts get changed because of COVID. So basically, mate, for like 3 years straight, I was getting up at 4 in the morning training. I was working for 6 till 3, straight to boxing at 4:30 to about 6:30, and then I was with clients at night. Do you know what I mean? So I was generally just doing too much, mate. So I think in the past year, mate, just giving myself that extra time for training, recovering, and stuff like that, it's kind of impacted everything else in my life. Do you know what I mean? For the better. So a year down the line, mate, we're in a lot better place, and I think that's going to stand me in good stead for the tough year I've got ahead. So
Absolutely
happy.
fantastic. I mean, you say a tough year ahead. You are listed on BoxRec as fighting February 18th. No opponent announced just yet. Have you started camp for that yet? How's things going for that? Is it a case of, have you got an opponent in mind? Is there a list of names that you're looking at? What's the steps on this?
Yeah, I've actually got an opponent. I've had an opponent for a few weeks now, but it's just not been updated on BoxRec. Basically, I'm fighting another unbeaten boy. I'm fighting a boy from South America, Nicaragua. He's 6-0 with 4 KOs. So I'm ready to kick on now, mate. As I said, I'm 9-0 now. I think I'm sitting. Don't get me wrong, especially on BoxRec, you take rankings with a pinch of salt. Rankings are just rankings, mate. I don't look at that, but I think I'm sitting at number 12 in lightweight now in Britain, so I'm sitting kind of good on the rankings. So we say it's going to be a big year, mate. But ideally, this one's an 8 rounder. So not looking any further ahead. I've got a tough fight. I've seen some footage of this boy, and obviously my coach, he'll come up with the game plans and stuff like that. But this boy, I've got a good opponent in front of me, mate. So my focus is on that. Do you know what I mean? I always train really hard, mate, no matter who I'm fighting. So just with having a kind of other unbeaten opponent put in front of me, it's just gave me that wee extra motivation these past few weeks during camp. I don't really believe in fight camps, mate. I'm not one for that. As I said, I'm full time. I've been full time for a year now, so I train year round, mate. I'll have a few days rest after each fight, but I'm never not doing anything. Do you know what I mean? Even when I've got a kind of wee off period, like after my last fight in October, there I went away on holiday and stuff before Christmas, but I kept training, mate. I don't ever let myself get out of shape, so to speak. So I don't believe in camps, mate. I believe in a kind of lifestyle. Do you know what I mean? So I've always been training and stuff like this because we've always knew it's going to be early in the year. It's going to be a big year this year, so. Camp's going good, mate. I'm sparring good. I'm pulling good numbers in the gym. I'm doing good. My running times, everything. So I'm fully on schedule. That's 20 days away. It was 3 weeks yesterday. So I'm well on track for a good fight on February 18th.
Fantastic. In terms of ambitions, obviously everyone gets into boxing to win world titles, but in the nearer future, the domestic route, is that something you're looking at? You're looking at British titles, for example?
Yeah, 100%. The British champion, he's obviously rematching the Celtic champion, Gavin Gwynn and Craig Woodruff. I think they're rematching. Obviously, I'm no one for. Obviously, everybody's got goals, mate. I want to win the British title. I want to win. See, no matter what title, mate. See, as long as the title gets put in front of me, as long as we've got the right date, the right preparation, I'm all for it. My team and all that deal with that, mate. I literally just focus on each fight at a time. But of course, this year, especially sitting good in the rankings and stuff, this one's an 8 rounder. So after I handle business, touch wood, no injuries or stuff like that, I'll be ready to crack on for this year. I fully expect to be fighting for them major titles. I think, as I said, I'm sitting at number 12 in Britain, but when you look at kind of 1 to 6, they're beyond kind of British level. And then obviously you've got your British champion, your Commonwealth champion, stuff like that. So 100% after a few big fights this year, I expect to, before this year's out, be fighting for one of them major titles, God willing. So that's kind of the plan we're at now with this year, mate. I'm at that bit where I've had a good few tests early in my career. I'm at that point now, ready to fully kick on and see where I can take it. Do you know what I mean? So I train hard, mate. I put the work in, so there's no reason why I can't fight and win some of the major titles you've just mentioned, hopefully in 2023.
Does the British title hold any meaning to you? Would you want to defend it outright? You've got to fight, win it, defend it 3 times, win it outright. Would you prefer to do that, or is it a case of it's business if the rankings are in the right places, and then you move on to say Commonwealth, Europeans, etc.? Would you look to do that instead?
As you said, mate, it's business. Obviously, like of course, everyone you want to win the British title. That's obviously every boxer's dream, mate. To be number one in the UK, a prestigious belt like that, it's a massive belt. But it's one of them ones, mate. If you say you win the British title and then next thing you know you get offered a European, you're not going to say, "Oh, wait till I defend it 3 times." So I think it would be circumstantial in that kind of point of view. But of course, it would be a belt I'd love to be able to win and defend and keep outright because even getting to that level as well, that's all experience, mate. So I think kind of if you win it, if you get the chance to defend it, that's a great platform. It's a great, obviously, 12 round fight. So the more experience and different styles you can get defending that belt would be amazing. But as you said, mate, if you do a good performance and win the British title, you could walk into a European shot if it was vacant or if an opportunity came up. So I think you would obviously have to play that one beer. So I'd have to wait and see in that one, but it's definitely a title you'd want to get a hold of for good. Do you know what I mean? It's a lovely belt, so why not? If the opportunity arose, mate, it's definitely something you could divert back to. Do you know what I mean? And defend that a few times. But as long as each fight provides a new experience, mate, and that more exposure, then it's all a win-win, as they say, isn't it? So
Absolutely. Obviously, lightweight at the moment, this is a massive division. It's stacked at the top world level. Do you feel you'll be challenged for world titles at lightweight, or do you feel you would have moved on? Do you make lightweight comfortably? Is it something you're looking at? As you progress, will you be looking to move up the weights?
yeah, I definitely feel I'm going to go through the weights. I'm still young. I'm 25 at the end of next month, mate. But I'm a young 25-year-old, so I'm constantly growing, constantly evolving. But lightweight is hard getting down, but it's not hard enough where like I need to take shortcuts or no take shortcuts. But it's not. I don't need to do anything that isn't healthy in order to make that weight down. Do you know what I mean? I love the life good. A diet good and stuff like that. I'm going to bring a new nutritionist on board after this fight as well, just to help things that wee bit more, just to be a bit more professional as well. I had a nutritionist before, but we went different ways. But I'm going to get a good one in the now that works. One of my teammates is very good, so it's always hard getting down to weight. But at the same time, this is the stuff you need to do. Like it doesn't disadvantage me yet. I'm not at a point where I'm struggling to make weight, or I've never missed weight. Do you know what I mean? So, but I definitely can see myself going through the weights. I've fought at the weight above in a few fights at light welterweight, but for now, obviously, we're down at lightweight. We're chasing belts, we're chasing things down there, and until maybe a different opportunity or I had to go up, then I would move through the weights. But I can definitely see myself as my career going up in weights. Obviously, I'm a young man. I'm big for the weight. Do you know what I mean? So I've got a big physical frame, especially for lightweight. So I definitely can see myself moving through moving through the weights. Certainly my appetite anyway, mate. We might end up super middleweight, light heavyweight. Who knows? But yeah, I could definitely see myself. You never really come down weights, do you? So I can obviously as I get older, I get more man strength about me. I can see myself moving through the weights. Yeah, 100%.
Perfect. Well, Regan, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate you joining me.
Not a problem, mate. Thanks for having me on.